Now, please welcome Solmaz Aboali, 11-time U.S. National Traditional Karate Champion and International Medalist. Ms. Aboali is a PhD candidate from the School of Conflict Analysis and Resolution from George Mason University, where she is focusing on the issues of women in sports and use of sports in conflict resolution.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be with everyone today, our speakers, and as well as the audience members. In the late 1980s, my parents and I fled Iran, our native country, and the only home we had ever known. The decision to leave behind our family, our friends, and society was not an easy one. Once we were gone, we lived in dire conditions that left us with no shelter, no food, and only with uncertainties as to what the next day would bring. Can you imagine a situation where food is so scarce to come by that you are forced to take one apple, slice it into 7 pieces, so that you can have one slice each day of the week? I can, because that was my childhood. My parents and I bounced around to several countries such as Pakistan, Bangladesh, Canada, and eventually the United States. If the story is beginning to sound a little crazy, that's because you're right, it is crazy. We were indeed crazy. Crazy for a freedom that was denied to us as Iranian citizens living in Iran under a regime that to this day continues to deny basic freedoms under the manipulated guise of religion. My family's firsthand experiences into the realities of structural violence, poverty, and discrimination have enabled me to develop a spirit to fight conflict, one that has ultimately shaped my identity and pursuits as an Iranian-American woman, a scholar, and a martial artist. Today, I am an 11-time U.S. national champion and world medalist in traditional karate. When I fight with a sense of knowing what it means to sacrifice, to stand up for what I deserve, and to go after what is right. Although I am incredibly proud to be an athlete that represents the United States globally, I am also that little girl who has not forgotten that she was forced to leave those whom she loves and my native home, Iran. So because I am this sort of half-breed, this both Iranian and both American, I often ask myself, what does it mean to be Iranian? It means this: to share a rich civilization and culture that spans back to 550 BC, to share an ancestry of world-renowned poets such as Hafiz, Rumi, Khayyam, Ferdowsi, Saadi, whose poem is a motto on the entrance of the United Nations building, to share a powerful record of advances in medicine, science, and engineering, such as those made by Avicenna and Maryam Mirzakhani, the first woman to be awarded the Fields Medal in mathematics. To share a talented roster of athletes, such as legendary wrestlers Takhti, Filabi, and Qorbani. And finally, to be an Iranian means to fight for our rights, such as the courageous young girls who are at the forefront of the protests in Iran, and the young boys who sacrificed by risking their lives to gain freedom for this very proud nation. This history, and these individuals are you. You represent the richness of where we came from and where we go from this point on. I have also noticed that Iranians share a history of hardships. These include being punished for how we want to dress, being persecuted and publicly hung for our religious and political beliefs, being discriminated against based on gender and orientation, and one of my favorites, not being allowed to enter a sports stadium. These violations represent what needs to change. As a refugee and as someone who studies conflict, I understand what it takes to create a positive change in society. One person who has been steadfast in her journey to bring such a positive change to Iran is Mrs. Maryam Rajavi. She, a female leader, has repeatedly proven the ability to sacrifice, to go after what is right, to inspire, to lead, despite all odds. For this reason, I chose to gift my gold medals to her, from one fighter to another. And so this is what it means to be an Iranian, to be a fighter for freedom, for equality, and for justice. My fellow Iranians, together, we are great. If greatness now is how we want to move forward, let us not reach 40 years of oppression. Let us dismiss any misinformation that has been strategically placed and created by the Iranian regime and which has led only to fear and disunity. Together, let us be the masters of our own fate in this one lifetime. I'd like to leave you with a poem by Reverend Dr. Lynn Unger, whose words I believe exemplify the power of togetherness. It goes something like this. "Breathe," said the wind. "How can I breathe at a time like this when the air is full of smoke of burning tires and burning lives?" "Just breathe," the wind insisted. "It's easy for you to say if the weight of injustice is not wrapped around your throat, cutting off all air." "Just breathe," the wind said. "I need you to breathe. I need you to breathe. Don't tell me to be calm when there are so many reasons to be angry, so much cause for despair." "I didn't say be calm," said the wind. "I said to breathe. We're going to need a lot of air to make this hurricane together." Thank you.
Thank you very much, Solmaz.